Hey everyone, how's it going today? And welcome back to another second stimulus check and second stimulus package unemployment benefits extension update. So in today's update, I really just want to troubleshoot and talk really quickly if you are someone that's either still waiting for your stimulus check, because there was recently a delay that some of you guys may or may not know about that recently came up on some people's account. Now, even if you actually have received your stimulus check, which congratulations by the way, I do maybe want to end this and talk a little bit about the tax side of the stimulus check, so maybe there's still something to relatively gain from it even if you have already actually officially received your stimulus check. So we're going to get started right away, but before we begin, make sure you smash the like button because it always does help to support this channel. Consider subscribing and hitting the bell for future updates on stimulus and about unemployment or about troubleshooting stuff like in today's video. And then also feel free to comment any questions, thoughts about really anything at all, maybe even if it's just like your state and maybe what bank you use and whether or not you have officially received your stimulus or your unemployment. So with that being said, we're gonna get started. So there was recently an incident that recently did just happen, specifically if you are someone, or specifically to some people that use TurboTax or certain tax software. I believe it happened to HR Block. I know it definitely happened to some people with TurboTax. Now granted, it didn't happen to every single person. Like, I know I also use TurboTax and it actually was very smooth, a really smooth process. But the story with that is that basically many people that use TurboTax, there was recently an IRS error that kind of came up with TurboTax. The general idea, what ended up happening is that the way they distribute the funds is that the money comes from the IRS. It goes from the IRS to TurboTax or whatever your tax software is, and then from TurboTax / the software to the people. There were many payments that were sent from the IRS to TurboTax or the tax doing software. Some of them apparently ran into errors of some kind, so because of that reason they kind of froze up the payments. That's why some people haven't actually received your stimulus check yet. Likely you might have even gotten an email from it. This specifically comes directly from TurboTax's website right here. So they basically explained a little bit about what happens to the situation. Feel free to pause it if you are interested in hearing. The general idea is that they basically ran into technical difficulties and like an error when it came to the distribution. Now, this didn't happen to every single person. In fact, actually a lot of people that use TurboTax actually did get their stimulus check. I'm one of them, but there were some people, definitely, I would say maybe about half. There was definitely a percentage of people that did run into that situation. So if you are still waiting for that, just know that your payment is still secure and it's likely just coming. Which goes on to another point is that the deadline is also going to be January 15th. So the very likelihood is that you will probably see it this week. Hopefully, at least, more or less, you're probably gonna hopefully be able to see it this week. Maybe give a couple of extra days if you are someone that's waiting for a paper check, but more or less, I think for the majority of people, you should hopefully finally receive your $600 stimulus check by the very end of this week. Now, if by the end of this very week, or I guess you can even say next week, because, you know, if you are getting paper checks, then maybe, you know, it happens to have already been delivered, but it's just simply in the mail. But more or less, for most people, if you're not able to get it by the end of this week, then the absolute last resort is that you're probably going to have to just write it on your next tax return. So they'll physically just give it to you as a tax refund. Hopefully, it's the smoother option, so you're able to get it now and not have to wait until, you know, like April, May, like that time. But hopefully it's the smoother option. But with that being said, like the absolute last resort would be to basically have to get it off of your tax return, which I guess leads on to another very common question. I guess this is the part that actually applies to every single person, whether you have or haven't received your stimulus check, which is about the tax side of it, whether or not it's taxed. So the stimulus check is not taxed, and I guess that's the really great news, because the stimulus check is actually considered a tax refund. So because of that reason, exactly like your regular tax refund every single year, you know, when they withhold your taxes and they give you some of it back, because of that reason, this stimulus check, it's all up for grabs and you guys can basically keep the whole thing because it is considered a tax refund. The unemployment though is very much taxed, and it's because the difference is that the unemployment is considered income. So you would have to basically pay taxes on it exactly like if you were taking a regular job. The great news though is at least you're able to get that money without having to work an actual job. So it's at least something, to help yourself with, at least to have, to have there. So basically the general ideas is that for stimulus checks, it's not taxed because it's a tax refund. For unemployment, it is taxed because it is income. I believe that all of it is going to be based off of your 2019 tax return, because I know there was someone wondering about that. So for the most part, if you did get the first stimulus check, then you should be qualified for the second stimulus check, because the qualifications are basically exactly the same, more or less. The only difference maybe is if you just had like a very huge change of income. So maybe you just didn't make a lot of money in 2018, but maybe you just went viral and made a lot of money in 2019. But if that was the case and you did make a lot of money in 2019, then you probably don't actually need a second stimulus check of some kind. So you probably should be pretty well off, or at least certainly set to have to think about like $600. So hopefully that kind of clarified a lot of different things. I figured because there are some people that are still waiting, especially with the TurboTax software delay that recently did just come up on the news. And then I think really after this, the only thing, the next steps to really look out for is really going to be, of course, for the unemployment, which is the $300 boost if you are on unemployment, of course. And then really just about the next stimulus check, which is going to be the $2,000 stimulus check. So technically $1,400 because it's supposed to be an add-on to the $2,000. Although we don't have actually specific details yet. We're likely going to get details on Thursday. So Thursday, what is it? Thursday, January 14th. I think something by the end of the day, they're hoping to finally release details about that. I think most believe that it's going to be like an extra $1,400, so plus the $600 to add up to $2,000. Although some speculate it might even be like an additional $2,000, so $2,000 plus $600 to make $2,600. If you guys are still needing any kind of financial support or aid, do also know that within the second stimulus check, and likely also in the third stimulus check, there are also other programs and sometimes even state specific for different things, such as, again, like food stamps, rental assistance. We probably will maybe try to make future videos about the eidl, PPP, so basically business loans, basically other ways to get money, hopefully from the government during a time of so much need, beyond just the unemployment and stimulus checks. So once again, if you are brand new here, subscribe and hit the bell notification button to join in so you guys can get updates about that. Remember to smash the like button if you guys hopefully found some relative insight about that. Feel free to comment if you guys have any questions, thoughts about really anything at all. Maybe even if you wanted to comment your state or what bank you guys use and whether or not you've received your stimulus / unemployment. It's always great so that other people can, maybe that are also in your state, can also find out. And hopefully if you guys found some insight, remember to smash the like button because it does help to support this channel. Consider subscribing and hitting the bell for future updates on stimulus and unemployment. And with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. Stay safe, stay well, and hope to see you guys next time. Thank you guys so much again.